Bawa 2 handphone.
Bawa 2 handphone.
Enggak tahu.
Gimana? Darling house. Darling house, single bedroom and suite, twin bedroom and suite. Single bedroom with and suite ada. Sini tuh tulisannya available ya. Kira-kira berapa lama?
Main.
Iya. Berapa? Ada. Darling Square, single and suite room in 5% apartment. Oh. Ini pasti gue ini.
Yep, can continue.
Okay.
Right. So let's back to the Australian education system. So just now I mentioned that for international students who come from a non-English speaking background, they will need to attend an English course called Intensive English Center.
Yep.
Yeah. And from year 10 above is so it's one program, so it's senior high school, so it's from year 11 and year 12. So after 12 years education, the student will go to a exam called HSC. So this is kind of like university entry exam, and then student need to sit in exam and for universities. So having said that, you know, it's I believe it's different from Indonesian education system. So the final exam, HSC, only accounts for 50% of students' final mark, and then another 50% actually from students' scores and then tests throughout the 2 years, year 11 and 12. So, and after that, the student can progress to universities or TAFE, and currently we recruit students from year 1 to all the way to year 11. We can't recruit students for year 12 because year 11 and 12 is one program. So students have to start from year 11. All right, so let's move on to the next page. So why choose, there are different types of schools in Australia. So we've got independent schools, we've got government schools. We only look after government schools. And then the reason why I choose government schools in New South Wales, so that 8 reasons, we'll go through these reasons. First one, it's future focused learning. So as you can see that there's a list of the skills that we focus on to teach our students. So I think The most important one for international student, I would say, because I was an international student before, so I would say that the leadership skill and the self-confidence is really critical to international students, because coming from a different education background and then speaking a different language other than your home language, your mother language, is quite hard for students, particularly at a really young age. So our schools will be focusing on that to help international students to build their confidence, to help them to build their leadership skills in order to get the student to success in the future, like for universities and for even in the career field. So I think this is the most important skill for international students. And the other thing is, I think it's very important is at government schools, we focus on project-based learning. So what does it mean? It means that students through different subjects learn one project. I think someone asked a question.
No, not question. It's actually the microphone is on, but it's okay. You can keep going. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The other reason why I choose government school is that we have plenty of choices to choose. We, as at the Department of Education, we actually look after all the government schools in the state in New South Wales. So in total, we have schools choices, but currently we have about 300 students at 300 students to take international students depending on their capacity. So which means if a student decides to come to study in New South Wales, the government schools, student can choose one school from all these 300 schools to fit the student's individual needs. So for example, if say a boy, so the boy wants to choose a single-sex school, we have boys' schools only available for the boy. And if the boy wants to study at a co-education school together with girls, and then we also have co-education schools for the boy to choose. Apart from the normal high schools, we also have some specialized schools, like, for example, a sports school. So say if a student is really good at one certain kind of sport, like, kayaking or soccer or basketball, and the students would like to continue to develop that kind of talent, the student can choose to go to those kind of a specialized school to fit the need. And also, as I just mentioned, that we've got about 15 intensive English centers. So these centers, they are not English language schools. They are actually, they're not in a building, they're not in an office, they are actually schools, like a part of the school. So the reason for that is we want our students to start to feel that in the school environment to help them to develop. So the students not only learning English, but also they learn English through the curriculum. So what does that mean? That means that when a student starts, say, for example, a student is really interested in chemistry, right? And then, but the student didn't know how to say, for example, oxygen in English, only in Indonesian. So these kind of schools will teach students English through the curriculum to help the student prepare a better foundation to get the students into their high school study. And apart from, we have a wide range of schools to choose, and we also have a wide range of subjects to choose. So to be able to pass the HSC exam that I just mentioned, students will need to choose 6 subjects. So 6 subjects to study to pass the exam. So we have about over hundreds of curriculum subjects to choose in the curriculum. And apart from the difference of curriculum, even for one subject, we have different difficulty levels for students to choose. For example, mathematics. So we have 4 different kind of difficulty levels for students to choose for mathematics. For the general public, general students, there is a basic math subject, general math. But for students with special talent in mathematics, the student can choose the harder ones, like extension 2, extension 1. So these different difficult levels offer different units, which is similar to credits. So student will need to finish 12 units to pass the exam. So, by offering students different choice of schools and subjects, we want to use the student to achieve the student's best in our education system. Let's talk about a little bit about our intensive reading centers. I mentioned a little bit earlier, and these are the features of intensive reading centers. So I think the benefit of this is the student come to Australia, a totally new environment, and most of the students in the intensive centers, they're from a non-English speaking background, so they can better to understand each other and time to give them a little bit time and to get used to the way that Australian local students study. Key learning areas means that the subjects that we offer in our schools. We just mentioned that mathematics, so general to extension, so from 2 units all the way to 4 units. And we do offer other subjects, but then there are too many of subjects, so it depends on the school. So it's better to check with the school that, you know, what kind of subjects do they offer. But all the students, including our international students, they can choose whatever subject they're interested in or good at to pass the subject, to pass the HSC, apart from one subject, which is English. So English, the first one, is compulsory. But having said that, the international students, they don't need to compete with local students for English subject, because international students will study ESL in English, which is much easier than the native English speakers students. So they will study a different language, different English course. And apart from that, you can see that we offer all different subjects, and then the student can choose. This is some photos of the school, and then on the left bottom one, so there's a gym, a school gym. So this is a photo of a school called Menai High School, which is a really quite well-known school in the Sydney South region, and they are famous. This school is famous for marine science and technology. Apart from all this, we do have a strong team to support our international students. This is a list of all the school staff that we provide support to our international students. The first one, international student coordinator. So this is a very important role. So this role actually looks after pretty much everything of international students, from academic studies to homestays. So anything happen to international students, so the student coordinator is the very first contact point for international students within the school. The other very important staff in school is the career advisor. So the second bottom one. So career advisor, actually, remember we talked about that. You know, the student will need to choose 6 subjects to pass the HSC exam. So there's so many subjects, and then it's very hard to student choose, because whatever subjects the student choose, they will be impact on the major of university that student can choose. Like, for example, if a student wants to study medicine to become a doctor, or the student will need to choose chemistry or mathematics extension for the year 11, year 12. So before the student choose the subject, it's better for the student to talk to the career advisors in the school, and then get some advice from the school and what subjects to choose. So that's also very important stuff. And the last one, the homework center. So our school finishes around 3 o'clock to 3:30. So after that, so students don't need to stay in the school. But if they wish to stay in school, on some work days, the library is the homework centers. So there will be a staff or bilingual staff to help students with their studies in the school. apart from the supporting staff in the schools, our office called the International, so Department of Education International, we have a dedicated team here as well to help with the inquiries from students and parents and agents. So we in-house we have an Indonesian language speaking staff that can help with the parents. Since most of our students are under 18, so we have a very strict policy on student welfare. So as you can see here, so from students under year 4, so this is school year, so it doesn't matter about the age, so it's just different from each state. So some other states, the requirements are based on age, but our requirements are based on school year. So for students under year 4, they must come with the parent. And then from year 5 to 8, so they must live with a direct relative, which means their uncle or auntie. And then if for elder students, like the student from year 9, the student can stay with the homestay family. So we appoint the school family. So we choose the school first, and then within a certain distance, we choose a homestay family, and the student live with that family. And homestay family currently will work with 4 homestay families to place students, and all the guardians. So the students' guardianship is with us, with our department, and then the homestay families, they just look after the students and they care of the students, and they must provide 3 meals. They have to provide students a separate room, and then cook 3 meals for them. And then there's maximum 3 students per homestay. So that's our requirement. So these are some photos of homestays. But again, so there will be different varieties of families, homestay families. It could be a house, it could be apartment, it could be like a single mom or single dad. Like family with kids, different homestay families. I'll mention a little bit about our entry requirements. So for junior high schools, we usually we will students to have good academic results. And in terms of the English, for junior high school students, we can provide a very good passing grades and with the IELTS 3.0 or equivalent. But this is pretty important. But we don't require students to provide IELTS result. Usually, students without any English proficiency, they will go to our IEC, the Intensive English Centers, for 2 terms. But if a student is really good, English is really good, we need some evidence. So we need a student to sit in an English proficiency test like IELTS to get a score of 5.0. For senior high school, is 5.5, or other English tests like TOEFL or PTE, they're all the equivalent. The other thing is, if the student studies in an English teaching school in the last 2 years, the students can go to our high schools directly without going to the IEC. Yes, we mentioned this part, and then again some photos of students. All the high school students need to wear a uniform, as you can see here, and yeah, that's just the general information of New South Wales government schools. And I think, Johnny, let's start the Q&A session.
Sure.
Yeah.
So thanks, Adam. So I think we can start our Q&A session. So if you do have any question, please write in the chat group. So we will answer as much as possible. Yeah. Okay. So I just mute some of the participants here. Good. Sure. So we have quite many questions come in. So we try to answer as much as we can. Okay. So from Sugiso, may I know the name of the speaker, please? Today we have Adam Wang from New South Wales School. Please add 5. Yep, sure. And then we see the next question again. Can I request to record? Yes, you can. Hi, David, please mute your microphone. Any public school with IB system?
No, we don't have IB curriculum. So in New South Wales, we offer HSC, so that's our curriculum.
Okay, so there's no IB system in New South Wales public school yet. Okay. Okay, so this question from Brenda. Can special needs student enroll?
Well, that depends, because we will need to see if what kind of special needs or support that students requires. And then we need to contact our schools and then see if our schools can offer that kind of special needs.
Sure. Yeah. So the second question from Brenda is, do you offer any short-term study program for students?
Yes, we do. We have another program called Study Tours, but that requires at least 10 students.
Yeah, sure. So would you give us a list of school and uni? Yes, I can send you the list of school for this government school. I think I did send you earlier in the WhatsApp. So, but if you do need it again, I can resend it to you. Please send me an email, and then I will send it to you. Yeah. So another question is AES required?
No, we don't require it.
Yeah.
But if a student has it, please provide it when you submit an application. But it's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement for AES. Yeah, sure. Okay. How are the tuition fee and initial cost distributed? Just like FED, which is split into 4 terms?
Right. Okay. So for year 11 and year 12, so because it's a one program, it's free instruments. So before the student starts, and there's one instrument, and at the start 1/3 of the tuition fee, total tuition fee, and then another 1/3 around later the same year, later that year, and then the last instrument will be the following year.
So it will state in the offer letter, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
So everything was stated in offer letter.
Sure. Yeah. And then if you like, also I can send you the sample of offer letter, so you can know the breakdown of the tuition fee.
Yeah.
Please send us the detail at email so we can read it or request professors. Thank you. Yeah, Yeti email. Yeah, we will. Actually, I did send you through the WeChat or the marketing material like a brochure application form. But if you do need it, please send me email and I will send it to you again. Yeah. Okay. Any idea how IB student enroll HSC can follow the system?
Yes, we do. We do take IB students, but then that depends. So for IB students, or need to submit all the academic transcripts to our admissions, and then our admissions will assess that academic report.
Yeah, sure.
And yes, they can follow the system. So yeah, so
Yeah.
we study.
So basically, you do have any case in the past that actually the student following IB system and then they can.
Yes, we do take. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is from Evelyn. If the parents are TR, are their children considered as local or foreigner?
They are not local students, and they are still a foreign student, but they will enroll through another program called temporary resident program. For local students, we waive all the tuition fee, but for temporary resident students, there is a fee, but much lower than the international student fee.
Yeah. So it basically is the different department for the TR student, yeah?
Yeah.
So
same,
for
different team,
different
same
team,
office.
Same
yeah.
office, okay. Yeah. Does student from international school need evidence of English capacity for the enrollment?
Yes, so we need evidence showing that in the last 2 years, all the subjects are being taught in English for the students.
Yeah. So for those students who actually study at international school,
Yeah.
we need the last 2 years evidence that they taught in English.
So usually the academic report will do. Yeah, usually.
Academic report,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they will say, you know, all the subjects are taught in English.
Sure. Right. Okay, sure. So any other questions do you have?
I guess while you're typing the questions, I guess one important message that can be delivered to the parents that we don't rank our schools. I'm not too sure in Indonesia, do you rank your schools?
Oh, no, we don't. Yeah.
We don't,
No.
okay, yeah. So in Australia, we don't rank our schools. So all the government schools are good schools. So the only difference is the size of the school. You know, if it's a big school with a lot of students or with few students, we believe that the closest school to home is the best school. Yeah.
How to determine school year? Is this based on previous qualification? If it's not based on age?
Usually, or generally speaking, it's based on the previous qualification. So say if a student finished year 10, then student will come for year 11. But there are some other cases that, because we need to take 2 terms IEC, so that makes a little bit tricky. So sometimes student will need to repeat maybe 1 term of previous year level. Like for example, if a student finished year 10 and for some reason the student will need in English, and our year 11 only starts in February, so term 1. So sometimes students may need to repeat 1 term or 2 terms previous year. Yeah, but generally speaking, students will just progress to next year when they come to Australia.
Sure.
Yeah.
So for Indonesian student, I have a question. So for Indonesian student,
Yeah.
if they don't have, let's say they don't study in international school, and then what's the English entry requirement?
If they didn't go to international school, usually we recommend students to come for the IEC for 2 terms. But if the English students is really good at English, then we need to see the result of an English proficiency test like ours. So for junior high school students, so students apply for year 7 to 10, they will need 5.0. Doesn't matter academic or general. For students who apply for year 11, we need 5.5.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
So basically, they have a 2 option. Rather, they take 20 weeks English.
Yeah, 2 terms. Yes.
2 terms.
Yeah.
Or for junior high school, they provide 5.0 IELTS. It doesn't really matter academic or general English. And year 11 will be 5.5.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yep. We have another question here. Is there any different perception or paradigm between public school and private school for further study, or mingle in society, actually getting job, etc.? So is there any different, like in our perception, like students study in public school or private school?
Okay, so because I'm from the Department of Education, so I'm not in the best position to give you advice about private schools, but I can only comment on the government schools. But I would say that majority of Australian local citizens, they will send their kids to government schools, and because government schools are governed by the government, so we have very high standards requirements, including that all the teachers will need to go to university and then have a graduate degree. And in terms of safety, like for myself, because sometimes, although I'm in a corporate and sometimes I need to go to schools, we will be required to have a police check, working with children check, to make sure that all the adults that have access to our schools are cleared by the police check to make sure our children are safe. So, and based on the previous record, so we will have next month, we'll have our International Student Award. Our record shows that the graduates from government schools going to have a higher ATAR, which is the HSC, is above the average of all the schools in New South Wales. So that's, yeah, but in terms of comments on private, I'm not in the best position to give. Yeah.
Yep, sure. So next question is, can we package year 11, 12 with a bachelor degree from a New South Wales university? So I can answer this question.
Yeah.
Actually, we cannot. So basically, there's if you're referring to the COE package, there's no COE package for year 11, 12 to university. But what you need to do, like the student to complete year 12, and then they can continue further study to university. So it will be separate COE. So the next question is, how about primary students that study in local school in Indonesia? Do they need to take IELTS or other English tests? Yes, they need to. So they need to still provide the English proficiency. So as I mentioned earlier, so either the student take 2 terms English, or for junior high school, they provide 5.0 IELTS. Doesn't really matter academic or general English, or 5.5 for year 11.
Yeah. Or equivalent.
Or equivalent, test, other test, PT or TOEFL. Sure. So another question is, does New South Wales government school accept Australian PR student?
Yeah, they're considered as local Australian students, so it's free to go to our schools. So yeah.
So permanent residence basically is free.
Yeah. So
to enroll in or study in a public school in New South Wales.
Yeah. And then and there's no commission to our agents.
Yes.
So I go back to the previous question from Ecolink. We take all students from the mainstream schools from Indonesia, but we don't take students from homeschooling or non-mainstream schools, because I came across a case that a student previously studied at a religious-based not school. It's kind of like a tutoring school, I would say. Yeah, so we don't accept a student from those kind of schools, but we take all students from mainstream schools.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yep. I think we wait for another 5 minutes.
Okay.
So sure, we wait for another 5 minutes. If there's no more question, we should we'll end it in 5 minutes. But if you do have question, please ask. Yeah, just for information, if you do have any question after this online training, please let me know, and then our team will guide you step by step in terms of your student enrollment or potential student enrollment. So we're happy to assist any student from your agency. We have another question here. For primary students, are students required to choose their own subject?
Generally speaking, the younger age students, they don't choose subjects. So particularly in primary schools, the students, or most of the subjects are compulsory. But if when the student get older, progressing to high school, senior high school, they have more freedom to choose their subjects.
Okay, so we have another question here. If we want to enroll how to select the school since standard all the same?
That's Daniel. That's a really good question. So as mentioned that in terms of academic, they're all pretty much the same, but there are some differences, like the one that I mentioned, that the size of the school. So that matters actually. That matters the subject choices. Like for smaller schools, because there are less students, so there will be less teachers. So they sometimes offer limited school subject choices. But for bigger schools, like they have more students, which means more teachers, and then of course they offer more subjects. So that's one difference. The other difference is the nature of the school. Like as I mentioned, that we have single-sex school. Some parents they would prefer to send their kids to single-sex school, just study, concentrate on studies, just to stay with the boys and girls. And so with some other parents that would prefer the co-education schools. And the other thing is we have specialized schools, like specializing sports, music, arts, this kind of schools. So if students have this kind of talent, they can go to those kind of schools. Yeah, apart from that, they're pretty much the same. Location could be one of the reasons. Like if they have family members living in one part of Sydney, just choose the schools close to the home. I think I would say that's the best choice. If students would like to, close to the city and close to the vibrant community, and then they can choose the schools in the city. Yeah, so that's how we choose the schools. So yeah.
Right.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention one thing, or the most important thing I forgot to mention, the capacity. So before you choose the school, make sure that the school has capacity to take that year level students.
Sure. In terms of the capacity list that I always send you
Every quarter.
Every term. So every quarter, so normally we will receive the capacity list, and what we normally do, we will share to our agent partner. Just I think I also attached in the WhatsApp group that, like, for instance, the last one was December.
Yes,
December last year.
Yeah.
So that's the capacity list for each school. So you can see, like, for instance, the available for year 11 and 12, so each school is different capacity list.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the school just started today, so I think maybe within 2 weeks
We'll get another
update.
one after one. Okay, sure. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So should we?
All
Yep.
right.
Okay. So I think we should. But and again, as I mentioned earlier, so if you still do have any question, please send me an email or message, and then we will get back to you. Right? Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
everyone. I just want to say one
Yep.
last thing. So our slogan is "Come and study in Sydney," and I'm hoping that you can bring more college students to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.